Okay, it's a massive week for Bitcoin. It's really decision time now. Either we're going to play out the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 thesis and then start dropping and maybe even sweep the lows, or we've got to get past this point. Not only on Bitcoin, it's actually on the S&P 500. We really are at a massive decision time, right? Either we go up from here and we break out, or we're going to go down and we're going to test the lows. So I'm going to show you the argument in favor of both sides. I'm going to show you the argument in favor of going up, and I'm going to show you what factors may actually cause the market to go down, and then we'll make a call as to whether we think Bitcoin's next move is going to be up or down. So if that sounds good to you guys, I'm back. Obliterate the like button, let people know I'm back, and let's get the show on the road, guys. Someone says, yeah, we're timing it with the New York Open. Of course, that's why we come to you at this time, because we know that the New York Open actually opened. So how did the New York... Oh, there's 3 minutes till the New York opening, guys. Come on. There's 3 minutes till the New York opening. Currently, we are looking at 0.8% down, which is not bad. And the reason why it's not bad is because if you look at what happened last week, we had 8 or 9 days in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row of massive upward movement. That is, if I'm not mistaken, let me just get you, let's just make sure I get you the right stats here. It is, okay, so 9 winning day streak. That's the first time since 2004 that this actually happened, and we got a 9 winning day streak. And so now the question becomes whether we're going to be going up or down this week. And yeah, I'll show you the two arguments. The first argument is, if you look at the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 argument, basically what he says is, he says, because every time that you get a death cross, and for those of you who don't know what a death cross is, it's when the 50 and the 200 moving averages cross. Every time that you get the death cross, what he basically says is that the market actually rips up, but it never makes a higher high. So you can kind of see it over here. Like you can see we had the death cross over here. Market made a high, went up from the time of the death cross, got to this level here, but never landed up making a higher high. And actually, it's a phenomenon that keeps happening. You can kind of see it over here. If we go to this death cross over here, you had a death cross over here, and then you see we went up again, but then we came down again. We didn't quite sweep the lows on that one. Here again, we had the death cross. We went up again, didn't manage to make a higher high, and then we went down and went way before the lows. So if the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 thesis is true, then what you're going to be getting at is you're going to start getting the breakdown. And if you get a breakdown, we could start sweeping the lows. That's what Ben says. He also says that now this is the level at which Bitcoin needs to make a decision. So he says, now that Bitcoin has rallied to where the initial breakdown began, I think there's a good chance we'll actually see a pullback soon. And you can see, if you look at the chart, this is where the massive breakdown began. We went from 96.4 all the way down to 70, it was about 78, to about 78, right? So that is the thesis for the breakdown, right? So he's saying, look, his thesis, this whole pump was, call it a fake out, or one of these death cross fake pumps. And now we're going to start going back down. And if we go back down, he said we'd probably sweep the lows again. The other thesis is the more broad thesis, and specifically, I don't know if you guys watched this episode that I dropped yesterday. This is the episode that we shot at the Token 2049 event. And I must say, the one thing that got me at the Token 2049 event, this, for those of you who don't know which video that is, it's this one over here. I interviewed Arthur, I interviewed 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, and I interviewed Joe McCann. And it wasn't like they spoke to each other or they pre-planned it or something like that. But the interesting thing was, I said to them, guys, are you bullish or are you bearish? And they said to me, we're bullish. And I was like, okay, cool. How bullish are you? And they all said this unprompted. Like it's not like I prompted them or they spoke late or whatever else. But they said max bullish. They used the words max bullish. So all three of those guys all came out and said, not only are we bullish, we are actually max bullish. Arthur Hayes said they are max allocated. Joe McCann said they're max allocated also. So now you've got like in my mind, 3 of the biggest minds in the space, so 3 of the best minds in the space that are all max bullish. On the other side, you've got 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from Into the Cryptoverse who says, look, he hasn't bought this thing yet. There was a video that I made with him not so long ago. I don't know if you remember that video where he actually broke down that thesis. It was actually, if I remember correctly, It was this video over here. Bad news, this crypto pump won't last. So that's the two different theses. One is that this is a death cross relief bounce, and the other one is that we're actually now catching up to the M2 money supply. Now, generally, the M2 money supply has between a 90 and 108-day lag between the time that the M2 money supply starts going up and the time that Bitcoin starts going up. And if you take a closer look at this chart, I'm going to make a video this week specifically around this thesis, around the M2 money supply, because I've actually taken some time to study the M2 money supply. And I'll make a video this week. It'll be a very special video, and I'll actually show you what it is. Anyway, let's quickly look at how we finished April, because remember, when I left here, we had 8 days of a NASDAQ market pump. So on Bitcoin, actually, if you look at the monthly analysis, Bitcoin actually had a decent month in April. It was 14% up in April. I can't say the same for ETH. I can't say the same for ETH. If you look at ETH, 1, 2, 3, 4 bad months in a row. It's very rare that ETH has had 4 bad months in a row. I think that 2018 was the last time that actually happened. It had 4 bad months in a row. So far in May, it's obviously 0.75% up. There is a little bit of actual strength in ETH. What we saw though was towards the end of April, we saw massive buying, which actually pushed the numbers up. So if you look at the Bitcoin chart and you go to the end of April, so you can go about here. So here, you can see from the 18th of April, we got these massive pumps in Bitcoin. And those pumps were mainly spurred by the ETFs. So the ETFs had the biggest inflows of 2025. You can see those are the ETF flows. If you look at the numbers around the ETF flows, I think about 2.9 billion actually flowed in last month. So 2.9 billion actually flowed in last month, which was the biggest month that we've had since January. So the biggest month in January, we had a 5.25 billion inflow. So it looks like people last month actually started coming back to crypto and to Bitcoin. And the reason why people started coming back to crypto and Bitcoin is because they actually started going back into traditional markets. So after Trump's tariff fears and tariff wars and whatever else, people actually started going back into traditional markets. And you can kind of see that over here, right? So we had a 9-day winning streak, which is the first time since 2004 that we had a winning streak, a 9-day winning streak in the S&P. Not only that, like I said, the Bitcoin ETFs had one of the biggest months of the year. The ETFs, the S&P ETFs, saw inflows of 21 billion last month, which is the largest in history and the 5th largest for any ETF ever. So it does look like people scrambled out the markets and now are scrambling back into the markets, specifically retail investors. But the S&P is actually also at a decision point, right? So we've got Bitcoin at some kind of decision point now, but the S&P is also at a decision point. Why? Because we have gone over the 50-day moving average. Now we've got to try and get over the 200-day moving average. When you look at the NASDAQ, that chart is actually even better, because what you can see when you look at the NASDAQ is that the NASDAQ is over the 50-day and now challenging the 200-day moving average. And so both on the S&P and on crypto, we've got decision points. Bitcoin, is it going to play out into Ben Cowen's thesis, or is the 𝗬𝗵𝗆, Joe McCann, and Arthur Hayes thesis going to take the winning run here? Or and for the stock markets, are we going to get over and close over the 200-day moving average, both for the NASDAQ and the S&P? And there's of course there's a big event this week. You all know that there's the massive event this week, and that is the FOMC meeting this week. It's happening obviously on Wednesday night. Wednesday night, we get Powell talking about whether or not he's going to increase interest rates. Now, it's going to be super interesting to understand what Powell actually says. The market is pretty much saying that there's going to be no rate cut. There's a 1.8% chance of a rate cut, and obviously a 98.2% chance that there's going to be no rate cuts. I reckon no rate cuts for sure, right? Why? Because, well, at least going into the FOMC, we have Trump saying that he's not going to try and cut Powell's time as chairman. And I think that's one of the questions which will actually start coming up. You know that how Powell will answer. He'll just say, we are completely independent. We are completely independent. You know how it is. Anyway, so Wednesday night, big night, probably no rate cuts. I think also probably no news around quantitative tightening. You remember that last month, they slowed down quantitative tightening quite a bit. Why? Because they were scared that because the US has reached their debt ceiling, and they can't borrow anymore unless they get the Senate approval. Then the Senate and the House need to approve it, by the way. So they are now in a position where they have where they probably can't reduce quantitative tightening anymore, and they probably won't reduce interest rates, right? Unless they come up with a crazy surprise. I mean, the one thing that you can say about interest rates is if you look at Trueflation. Trueflation is saying that the US inflation index is now 1.45%. So you got inflation, which is very, very low. At the same time, you've got the oil price. I don't know if you guys have been following the oil price, but the oil price is a very good predictor of recessions and also a very good predictor of CPI. And if you look at the oil price now, oil price is down at $57. Now, to give you some perspective, the last time that oil was at $57 was just after COVID. It was in April 2021. That is the last time that oil got to $57 a barrel. Oil is a great predictor of the economy because oil prices trade up when economies are going to be stimulated, or when markets believe that economies are going to be stimulated. So it's a very, very, very good sign. And right now, this is telling you that a slowdown is coming. And because so many products actually land up using oil either to deliver or to produce in the factories and stuff like that, when the oil price is at 57 and the inflation is at 1.45%, you kind of say to yourself, well, Powell doesn't really have any excuse not to reduce rates. And probably on the day of, Trump's going to basically reach out to Powell through Twitter and saying, Powell has to start dropping rates now. This is terrible. How can he keep doing rates like this? So look out for what's going to happen. I don't believe there's going to be any fireworks. Obviously, we'll be live with you guys doing the FOMC. And I think now Trump shot himself in the foot. And the reason why Trump shot himself in the foot is because if he hadn't threatened with these tariffs, Powell would probably have some kind of stability or ability to forecast prices going forward. But now, Powell cannot forecast prices going forward because he doesn't know what the tariffs are going to be tomorrow. And the tariff situation keeps changing. I must say, I saw this one today and it absolutely blew my mind. Trump is now imposing 100% tariff on all movies produced outside the USA. I mean, I get this trade war, but he says the movie industry in the US is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas within the United States are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. In addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I'm authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies to be made again in America. Now, look, let me tell you the reality of making movies in America. Movies in America are made in Hollywood. Hollywood is in California. California is owned by the Democrats or run by the Democrats. When you make movies in California, there are things like unions and minimum basic hours and minimum expenses, and it's a very, very, very costly process. And what people are realizing is that they can go to other places like Cape Town, like Europe, and they can actually make movies as good, much, much, much cheaper, even when you include flying out the talent and the directors and everything else to make the movie. So, I mean, if you want to, instead of imposing a tariff, just make yourself competitive again. And so I think that this is like really, Josh, what do you think? Tariffs on watching movies, movie made in China or half made in the UK. Okay, those movie tickets cost double. It's crazy. What, you're going to go to a theater and if you want to watch Mission Impossible, which is made in the United States, you pay $20 a ticket. And then you're going to want to watch your kids are going to want to watch some cartoon which was produced in India, and that one costs you double to watch. I mean, I think that this is a bit too far. Anyway, another reaon why we could actually have some action this week is because I'm hearing things. I'm hearing that SQD will be listed on a European on an American exchange. I'm not telling you which exchange, but it's a nice big blue American, proudly American exchange. Also, I'm hearing that the first tariff deal will be announced this week. So sometime this week, we're going to get a huge tariff deal. And I wonder if Trump is holding out for FOMC to announce the tariff deal, because I've heard through people close to the source. I won't say exactly which source, but I've heard through people that are close to the source that that there is going to be some kind of announcement this week around some trade deals. Apparently, it's one of the major countries, and apparently it's already been done. It's already been done. So it's already been done. Also, we heard this morning that the Japanese, who are the biggest holders of T-bills, basically said that they're not going to be dumping US T-bills as part of this trade war. So that's quite a good thing because it'll keep the T-bill rate up. Anyway, all of this was actually written in our newsletter today, which is a free newsletter, which comes out before the show. So imagine like you can get all the information or everything that I'm speaking about here. You can actually get it before the show. All you do, you go to the show and you go to here and you click on the icon that says Good Morning Crypto. So you go here and there's an icon that says Good Morning Crypto. So here it is, Daily Candle and Good Morning Crypto. Daily Candle has 5 charts. I saw today was 𝗓𝗏, Hyperliquid. Let's just quickly see what the 5 charts were. Trading 5 altcoins today. 𝗓𝗏, Hyperliquid, 𝗔𝗥𝗡 Penguins, Fartcoin, 𝗔𝗹𝗽𝗵 Protocol, and 𝗬𝗏. So you can go and look at those charts. You can see if they're buys or if they're sells. And Good Morning Crypto is just the general good morning, what's happening in crypto world. So when you wake up in the morning in the United States, you have this thing waiting in your mailbox. And it's free, by the way. It's free. Anyway, let's look at another decision point in the market. The other decision point in the market is actually altcoins, right? So we had a very big month for some altcoins. So you can look at like last month, if this is on the monthly on bubbles. This is why we had quickly look. Oh, the stock market looks like it. Oh no, that's the monthly. You see, Warren Buffett announced that he's going to resign as CEO of Berkshire. Obviously, he's 95 years old, and you can see what's happened to the Berkshire share today. Such a stupid. I mean, what did they think? He was just going to stay at Berkshire Hathaway till he's. If the market is truly forward-looking, right? Surely they could look to the future and say, the guy's 95 years old. He's going to retire at some point if he doesn't die. Like, I mean, he's going to die. I mean, I'm not being horrible, but you know what I'm saying. Like he's 90-something. When you're 90-something, you can't be running a company. So, effectively, let's just see how the S&P's opened. So the S&P is down 0.8. The Nasdaq is down 0.86. Dow Jones is down 0.42. The new bubbles is launching in 5 days, Josh? 5 days, we're launching the brand new bubbles. Even though we've already got stocks, we've got crypto, everything's going up. So crypto, when you look at the last month, big month, good recoveries. I mean, a lot of these are shitcoins. Pengu, Fartcoin went up. But Hyperliquid went up a lot. It really is showing a lot of strength now. Radium went up a lot because they launched that pump fund competitor and because Solana's up 20%. Virtual Protocol did very well. 𝗬𝗏 did very well. As I told you, it was going to dump after the event. Let's just quickly see what happened after the event. So there was a 𝗬𝗏 event last week. Quite a good event, I must be honest. They announced that handheld, you know what I'm talking about, handheld gaming console. So you see 𝗬𝗏 went up. It dumped after the event. Let's see if they can actually keep this momentum. I also told you last week that Trump would go down. The Trump coin would go down. Why? Because you see the Trump coin has gone down from 16 to 19 because on the 12th, I think, is the cutoff for people who want to go and have lunch with Trump. So the decision time on altcoins is pretty clear. So you got Bitcoin dominance now. Bitcoin dominance now is at a cycle high, 64.7%, which means that this whole run has actually just been Bitcoin and not altcoins. Altcoins haven't actually been following. And you can see it's decision time. Either we're going to smash through this line or it's going to come down again back into the channel. And even if it just goes back down to 62, we'll take it. We'll take it. So, I mean, you can see that even though we had some alts moving last month, you can see that most of the coins, only 20 coins outperform Bitcoin. 24 coins outperform Bitcoin. Is it 24? No, it's not. It's not 24 coins. It's 3 coins. It's XMR, which is Monero, Tron, and FTN. Those are the ones that outperformed. Oh no, these also outperformed Bitcoin over the last 90 days. So Tau, I'm sure Hyperliquid also performed. You can kind of see that over here. You can see the best performance. So AI, Tau had a run, Hyperliquid had a run, 𝗬𝗏 had a run, Say had quite a good run, Solana had quite a good run, and then obviously Bitcoin. So it is decision time now. So either we go through this line and we carry on going to cycle highs, or we break down below this line. I think a lot will happen this week, even though I'm not expecting much from the FOMC. I do see a lot of charts actually pointing to the fact that something's going to happen this week. The other chart which I saw, which is actually quite interesting, was this chart over here. It's the gold miners ETF versus Bitcoin. So it's when the gold miners peak, Bitcoin dominance starts to break down afterwards. So the question is whether this last move in gold was actually a peak. That's what we're going to look at. Was this last move in gold actually a peak? So far, that 3,400 range on gold was actually the top. Like I think it's like you can see it's 3.5 or whatever it was, 3,480. That was actually the top, and now we're back at 3,316. So again, I think it's decision time here. Is gold going to break down or carry on going up? And is Bitcoin going to follow, or is Bitcoin not going to follow? This is what we have to. This is what we have to decide. So I mean, do we print this wedge here over here? So that is, I think, what's going to happen this week. I also want to talk about something else. I see a lot of people are posting only 6% of the world's population actually own crypto. And the numbers are more or less true. Like the last analysis that I did, there were 560 million wallets. I think that if you just quickly ask ChatGPT, let me just see if I can open up a ChatGPT and we can ask Chat. ChatGPT. Let's see what ChatGPT says. How many people in the world today? Let's see what ChatGPT says. ChatGPT is searching the web. I mean, I could have searched the web much quicker than ChatGPT. Lots of pictures. 8.2 billion, which means that I've been seeing these tweets that say like only 6% of the world's population own crypto. You're still early. I saw it a few times, and like one thing I hate is I hate these sensationalist tweet like you're still early, you're still early, which are not backed by data. The data actually shows that you're actually not that early anymore into Bitcoin. So I look to see what is the population that own crypto, and it's between 6.8% and 8.2%. So the numbers are more or less right. But if you do the same thing for stocks, only 10 to 15% of the world's population actually own equities, right? So if you say like the number of, or the percentage of crypto investors is going to be one day equal to percentage of stock investors, then there's only about 100% upside in terms of the size of the population. If you say that Bitcoin is going to become like money, and I don't think it is going to become like money, it's going to become something like gold or equities, then 15% of the world population own gold in some shape or form. So it's not that early anymore. I think specifically when it comes to Bitcoin, I think when it comes to altcoins, you may be a little bit early. All right, so that's that for today. Also, I was quite proud to read this. We're partners with Kerberus. And there's a scam that's going around. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but a lot of the influencers are getting caught out in the spam. How this scam actually works is they send you this thing saying, we're lining up guests for a new podcast. We'd love to feature on an up-and-coming episode. It's an exclusive editorial invite. And then what they do is they send you a Zoom link, and you join the Zoom link, and then they take control of your computer and they drain your wallets, right? And the founder of Kerberus, his name's Alex Katz, he actually picked this up. And the way that they pick it up is that they've got this piece of software, which is called Kerberus. You can download it, yeah? And what it does is, while you are surfing, it searches the code in websites to see if they're likely to drain your wallet, if it's got wallet draining code. So it doesn't come off a list that's not updated and whatever else. It actually looks at the code of websites that you're surfing and sees if there's wallet drainers on there. So now this product is free. You download it for free, basically. They do take like a tiny percentage commission when you do trades through certain derivatives exchanges, but well worth actually being protected. Again, there's a link below if you want to try it. I would definitely use this. Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Lastly, so a lot of people are talking about sell in May and go away, and whether or not selling in May is a good idea. Now, to make a long story short, I don't think selling this May is a good idea. There's a lot of reasons for it, but I broke down the reasons for it in a video which I made. You can see the video over here. Let me show you. I think it's worth listening to, but more importantly, I want to talk to you guys about this video. So this is the video. The video is called Sell in May. It is 40. It's had about 42,000 views. I want to just show you what is so unique about this video. Let's look into the data I have here and what has been happening to understand why this year might be the exception and why selling in May could be a costly mistake. I know you all remember this and probably will say, didn't you just say, remind me to sell in May in this tweet here? Yes, hold on. I'm going to walk you. So the interesting thing about this video is, first of all, it's a very interesting video. It's got all the data. But the more interesting thing about that video is that that video was completely made by AI. So when I say completely made by AI, it was scripted by AI and my voice is an AI voice. But the way that it's doing it is listening to all my previous footage and it's listening to all the front runners research calls. And then it is making videos. Now, we're going to make a lot of these videos going forward. And the reason is because AI can probably do a lot better and a lot more thorough research without any emotions than I can do or any one of our researchers can do. So what you're going to be seeing, and we're going to put them in a separate playlist, which is AI generated videos. What you're going to be seeing over time is we're trying to transform our business into an AI business also. And I want you guys to be part of the journey. So you'll see a lot of videos where, I mean, we're testing one now, which is actually me. It looks like me. And it's trained on all my data, and we're trying to create a run AI. So you will be seeing it, and just to keep you guys safe, we're going to put it into a different playlist, which is called an AI playlist, so that you kind of know which ones are AI generated and which ones are real. We're obviously not trying to make you believe that the one is me. I want to show you which ones are the AI videos, and hopefully very soon we can train an AI that can actually be smarter than me and actually have my striking good looks. Imagine that. Anyway, I will see you guys again tomorrow. If you haven't watched the Sell in May video or the video from Token 2049, I strongly recommend that you go and watch this. See you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.